Julian Stewart opened his front door and heard something that stopped his heart laughter. He froze in the hallway. For 3 years, that house had been silent, dead silent, the kind of quiet that buries itself in your bones and never leaves. But now laughter, real laughter, coming from somewhere inside his home. He followed the sound down the hallway, each step heavier than the last. When he reached the living room and looked inside, he forgot how to breathe. 3 days earlier, Erica Walsh stood outside that house in Greenwich, Connecticut, staring at the front door. She was 29, 7 years cleaning other people's homes, sending every paycheck to her grandmother in Atlanta. The salary Julian Stewart offered made her stomach drop. 4 times what any job should pay. That kind of money only comes from desperation. When he answered the door, she understood why. Julian looked like a man who'd forgotten how to sleep. 45. Successful. But his hands shook when he greeted her, and his eyes carried something Erica recognized immediately, grief that had turned into emptiness. He led her through the house without speaking. Too quiet, too still. Like death had moved in and never left. "My wife died 3 years ago," he finally said, voice hollow. "Since then, my twins, Jacob and Bella, they're 6, they've completely shut down. No words, no connection. 14 caregivers couldn't reach them." He gestured toward a doorway. Erica looked inside and saw them, 2 blonde children in separate corners, Jacob staring at blocks he wasn't touching, Bella rocking by herself, humming static. Beautiful, but gone. Erica's throat tightened. She'd seen that look before. After the fire, after losing her sister, after the state took her niece away and placed her with strangers. "I understand," she said quietly. Julian searched her face. "When can you start?" "Right now." That first day, Erica didn't try to fix anything. She just worked, folding blankets, organizing toys, singing old hymns. Her grandmother taught her songs about grace, about God not forgetting. She didn't push the children, didn't force anything, just filled the silence with something softer than death. "This little car," she said gently, picking up a toy near Jacob, "looks like it's been waiting for the right person." Jacob's head turned, just slightly. Bella's rocking slowed, and in that broken house, something impossible began to stir. Before we continue, subscribe, like this video, and tell us where in the world you're watching from. Sometimes healing comes wrapped in the most ordinary hands, but it's never ordinary when God is the one who sent them. That first afternoon stretched long and quiet. Erica moved through the playroom like she'd always been there. She didn't announce herself, didn't make a production of it. Just picked up toys, smoothed blankets, straightened books on the shelf. Jacob watched her from the corner. Not directly, just stealing glances when he thought she wasn't looking. His small hands gripped that same wooden block, knuckles white, like letting go meant falling. Bella stayed by the window, still rocking, still humming that strange, tuneless sound that made Erica's chest ache. "You know what I think?" Erica said softly, folding a blanket. "I think this room's been too quiet for too long. Rooms need sound. They get sad without it." She started singing again, low and steady. "Come, thou fount of every blessing," her grandmother's favorite. Jacob's grip on the block loosened, just barely. Erica knelt near a pile of toy cars, careful to keep distance between herself and the boy. She picked up a blue one, turned it over in her hands. "My little brother used to have a car like this," she said, voice casual, like she was talking to herself. "He'd race it all over our apartment, made engine sounds with his mouth, drove our mama crazy." She smiled at the memory, then set the car down gently and pushed it just a little across the floor toward Jacob. It rolled to a stop near his foot. Jacob stared at it. Then, slowly, he reached out and touched it. His fingers traced the tiny wheels. Erica's heart squeezed, but she kept her face neutral, kept folding blankets like nothing miraculous had just happened. Across the room, Bella had stopped rocking. Her humming faded to silence. She was watching Erica now, head tilted slightly, like she was trying to solve a puzzle. "Bella," Erica said gently, not looking directly at her. "That's a pretty name. Means beautiful, doesn't it? My grandma would have loved that name." Bella blinked. Once. Twice. Erica stood, crossed to the bookshelf, pulled down a picture book with worn edges. She sat on the floor, not near Bella, but close enough, and opened it. "I used to read to my niece," she said quietly, "every night before bed. She loved the stories with animals, said they understood things people didn't." She began reading aloud, soft, unhurried, a story about a lost rabbit finding its way home. Jacob moved. Not much, just shifted his weight, angling his body slightly toward Erica's voice. Bella's hands stilled in her lap. And standing in the hallway where they couldn't see him, Julian pressed his palm against the wall and closed his eyes. For 3 years, he'd watched caregivers try everything: behavioral charts, reward systems, structured play, sensory integration, all of it clinical, all of it failing. But this woman wasn't trying to fix his children. She was just, with them, present in a way that didn't demand anything back. When Erica finished the story, she closed the book and stood. "I'm gonna go make some lunch," she said to no one in particular. "Maybe grilled cheese. My grandma always said melted cheese fixes just about anything." She walked past Julian in the hallway without startling, like she'd known he was there the whole time. Their eyes met for just a second. She didn't smile, didn't offer false hope or cheerful predictions, just gave him a small nod and kept walking toward the kitchen. Julian stood there, listening, and from inside the playroom he heard the softest sound: Jacob making a quiet engine noise, moving that little blue car across the floor. By day 3, Bella started humming Erica's songs. Not the static anymore, actual melodies. Amazing grace. His eye is on the sparrow, soft and fragile, like she was testing whether the notes would break if she let them out. Erica pretended not to notice, just kept singing while she worked, letting Bella join in without pressure, without expectation. Jacob had moved closer too, still didn't speak. But now when Erica entered the room, he'd look up, hold her gaze for a second before looking away. Small things, tiny shifts. But in a house where nothing had changed for 3 years, tiny felt like everything. One morning, Erica was washing dishes when she felt something brush against her leg. She looked down. Jacob stood beside her, holding out a toy truck, not saying anything, just offering it. His eyes fixed somewhere near her shoulder, not quite meeting hers. Erica's throat went tight. She dried her hands slowly, knelt down to his level. "Is this for me?" she asked softly. Jacob nodded. "Once." "That's real kind of you, Jacob. Real kind." She took the truck carefully, like it was made of glass. "You know what? I think this truck and that blue car you were playing with yesterday would make a good team. What do you think?" Jacob's lips twitched, almost a smile. Not quite, but close. He turned and walked back toward the playroom, and Erica had to press her hand against the counter to steady herself. "He hasn't done that since before Catherine died." Erica startled. She hadn't heard Julian come in. He stood in the doorway, still in his work clothes from the night before, like maybe he hadn't slept. His tie was loosened, top button undone, and he looked at her with something raw in his eyes. "Given anyone a toy, I mean," he continued quietly. "He used to do that all the time when he was little. Bring you things he thought you'd like. Then after the accident, he just stopped." Erica set the truck gently on the counter. "He's still in there, Mr. Stewart. Both of them are. They're just scared." "Julian," he said. "Please, just Julian." She nodded but didn't repeat his name. Some lines felt safer left where they were. "How do you know what to do?" he asked, moving closer. "The doctors, the specialists, they all had degrees, certifications, years of training. But you just walk in and—" "I don't know what I'm doing," Erica admitted. "I just know what it feels like to hurt so bad you forget how to be a person. My niece Clara, after the fire, she stopped talking for 5 months. Wouldn't let anyone hold her. Screamed if you came too close." Julian listened, really listened, in a way that made Erica feel seen. "What helped her?" he asked. "Time, patience, singing." Erica's voice softened. "And someone who didn't need her to be okay, who was fine just sitting in the broken with her." Julian's jaw worked. He looked away, out the window toward where morning light caught the edge of the lawn. "I stopped sitting in it," he said finally. "The broken. I just left, went to work, Stayed late. Came home when they were already asleep. His voice cracked. I abandoned them. You survived, Erica said firmly. That's not the same thing. He looked at her then, really looked, and something passed between them, recognition, understanding. The kind that happens when two people have walked through the same darkness and can name it without flinching. Coffee's ready, Erica said quietly, breaking the moment before it could become something neither of them was ready for. I'll bring you a cup. Erica. But she was already moving, already putting distance between them, because she felt it too, that pull, that dangerous warmth spreading in her chest that had nothing to do with the job and everything to do with the man standing in his own kitchen looking lost. From the playroom, Bella's voice drifted soft and clear. Singing. Actually singing. Julian's eyes went wide. He moved toward the sound. And Erica stood alone in the kitchen, holding a coffee cup, reminding herself why getting attached was the worst thing she could possibly do. Day 7 started like any other. Julian left for the office before sunrise. Emergency board meeting in Manhattan. The company was facing a lawsuit that could cost millions, and his legal team needed answers he didn't have. He sat through 4 hours of arguments and projections and worst-case scenarios, but his mind kept drifting, kept seeing Jacob handing Erica that toy truck, kept hearing Bella's voice singing hymns in a playroom that used to be silent. By 2 in the afternoon, he couldn't take it anymore. He left the meeting early, ignoring his assistant's protests, and drove home through traffic that felt like it was designed to keep him from something important. When he pulled into the driveway, the house looked the same as always. Big, quiet, empty. He grabbed his briefcase, climbed the front steps, unlocked the door, and stopped. Laughter. He stood frozen in the entryway, briefcase slipping from his hand and hitting the floor with a dull thud. That sound, it couldn't be real. But it was coming from inside his house, from the living room. Julian's heart hammered against his ribs. He moved down the hallway like a man in a dream, each step slower than the last, terrified that if he moved too fast, the sound would disappear. When he reached the living room doorway, he looked inside. Erica was in the center of the room, holding both of his children's hands, all 3 of them in a circle, jumping. 1, 2, 3, jump, Erica called out, and they did. Jacob and Bella launched off the ground, mouths open, squealing with laughter that sounded like music, like life, like everything Julian thought had died 3 years ago. Jacob, who screamed when anyone touched him, was gripping Erica's hand without hesitation. Bella, who hadn't looked anyone in the eye since the funeral, was staring right at Erica, face glowing with pure, unfiltered joy. They jumped again, and again, their laughter filling the house like light breaking through after years of darkness. Julian's knees went weak. He grabbed the doorframe, vision blurring, chest collapsing in on itself. His children were alive. Not just breathing, not just existing, alive. He couldn't move, couldn't speak, could barely stand. Erica noticed him first. Her eyes found his across the room, and her smile faltered not with fear, but with understanding, like she knew exactly what he was seeing, what it meant. But she didn't stop, kept jumping with the twins, kept their rhythm steady. Again, Bella said, actual words, clear and bright. Again, Jacob echoed, giggling. Julian's hand flew to his mouth. He was shaking, tears streaming down his face faster than he could wipe them away. Jacob noticed him then, stopped mid-jump and pointed. Papa, he said, not speaking, exactly, but communicating, acknowledging. Julian couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Erica held out her hand toward him, gentle, inviting. Come on, she said softly, join us. He stumbled forward on legs that didn't feel like his own, reached out with trembling hands. Erica guided him into the circle, placing one of his hands in Bella's, the other in Jacob's. 4 people connected. Ready? Erica asked, looking at the twins. They nodded eagerly. 1, 2, 3, jump. They jumped together, Julian and Erica and Jacob and Bella, moving as one. Laughing, God. Julian was laughing too now, through tears, through years of grief breaking open inside his chest. His children, his babies, they were back. And the woman who'd brought them home was standing right beside him, eyes shining, holding his family together with hands that somehow knew exactly how. When the jumping finally stopped, when the twins ran off giggling toward their toys, Julian stood there in the middle of his living room, shaking. Erica started to pull away, started to give him space. But Julian reached for her, pulled her into a hug before he could think better of it. She stiffened, then melted. "Thank you," he whispered into her hair. "Thank you." Erica's hands came up slowly, rested against his back. "They were always there," she said quietly. "You just needed someone to believe they could come back." She pulled away gently, too gently, like she was reminding them both who they were supposed to be to each other. Employer, employee, nothing more. But Julian's heart was pounding, and the way she'd looked at him in that circle, the way she'd smiled, told him something had shifted. Something neither of them could take back. The weeks that followed felt like watching spring arrive after the longest winter. Bella started talking in short sentences. Not all the time, but enough. "Erica, look. Papa, come here. More juice, please." Jacob brought Erica something every day now. A toy, a drawing. Once, a dandelion from the backyard that he'd picked himself and carried inside with dirt still clinging to the roots. They ate meals together at the kitchen table, all four of them, the twins between Julian and Erica, passing plates, asking for things, participating in a life that had seemed impossible just weeks ago. Julian started coming home earlier, 3 o'clock, then 2, then sometimes noon, claiming he had calls he could take from home, meetings he could do remotely. But really, he just wanted to be there. Wanted to watch Erica braid Bella's hair with such gentleness it made his throat ache. Wanted to see her sitting cross-legged on the floor building block towers with Jacob, laughing when they toppled over. Wanted to be part of whatever this was becoming. One Saturday afternoon, they took the twins to the park. First public outing in over a year. Bella held Erica's hand the whole way. Jacob walked between them, looking around like he was seeing the world for the first time. Julian pushed them on the swings while Erica stood nearby, smiling, encouraging them. "Hiya, Papa." Bella called out, and Julian's heart cracked wide open hearing her voice ring clear across the playground. A woman approached him, older, kind-faced. "Your family is beautiful," she said. "Your wife is wonderful with them." Julian opened his mouth to correct her, but the words stuck. Because when he looked at Erica standing there in jeans and a simple sweater, hair pulled back, laughing at something Jacob said, she didn't look like the help. She looked like home. "Thank you," he said quietly. The woman walked away, and Julian caught Erica's eyes across the playground. She'd heard. He could tell by the way her smile faltered, by the way she looked away too quickly. That night, after the twins were asleep, Julian found Erica in the kitchen, wiping down counters that were already clean. "You don't have to do that," he said. "It's my job." "Erica, I should probably head to bed." She turned toward the hallway that led to her room. Wait, he didn't mean to say it so urgently, didn't mean to move closer, but he did. "That woman at the park today, when she called you my wife, you should have corrected her." "I didn't want to." The words hung between them like something physical, something neither could take back. Erica's hands gripped the edge of the counter. "Julian, don't." "Don't what? Tell you the truth? Don't make this harder than it already is." Her voice broke on the last word. He took another step. "What if I don't think it has to be hard? What if what?" She turned to face him, eyes glistening. "What if you wake up one day and realize I'm just the woman who cleans your house? What if your friends see us together and you're embarrassed? What if—" "That's not going to happen." "You don't know that." She shook her head. "Jacob called me Mama yesterday. He said it so quiet I almost didn't hear him. And Bella, she holds my hand like I'm the only safe thing in her world. But I'm not their mother, Julian. And I'm not," her voice caught, "I'm not your partner. I'm your employee. You're so much more than that." "To who? To you?" She laughed bitterly. "Or to the world that's going to look at us and see exactly what we are? A billionaire and his black housekeeper. You think that story ends well for people like me?" Julian flinched, like she'd struck him. "My grandmother warned me my whole life," Erica continued, tears spilling over now. "Don't confuse kindness for love. Rich folks always go back to their own kind. And I thought I was smarter than that. Thought I could keep my heart separate. But I can't. She pressed her hand to her chest. I can't keep pretending this is just a job. I can't keep loving your children like they're mine when they're not. I can't keep... She stopped, closed her eyes. Keep what? Julian asked softly. Falling for you, she whispered. The silence stretched between them, heavy, painful, true. Julian reached for her hand. She let him take it. I'm falling too, he said. From upstairs, through the baby monitor on the counter, Bella's voice drifted down. Erica? Erica? Erica pulled her hand away gently, wiped her eyes. I should go check on her. She left Julian standing alone in the kitchen, holding on to words he didn't know how to say and feelings he couldn't keep buried anymore. Erica stopped sleeping well after that night. She'd lie awake in the small guest room Julian had given her, staring at the ceiling, listening to the house settle around her, thinking about Jacob's hand in hers. Bella's head on her shoulder during story time, the way Julian looked at her across the dinner table like she was something precious. This wasn't supposed to happen. She was supposed to clean the house, care for the children, collect her paycheck, and keep her heart locked away where it couldn't get broken again. But every morning when Bella crawled into her lap, calling her mama in that soft, tentative voice every time Jacob brought her his drawings and waited for her approval, like it was the only thing that mattered, she felt herself sinking deeper into something she couldn't come back from. And Julian. God help her, Julian. The way he'd started asking about her day like he genuinely cared, the way he remembered her grandmother's name, asked how she was doing, whether Erica had called her that week, the way he listened when she talked about books she was reading, dreams she'd put on hold. He made her feel seen, not like the help, like a woman worth knowing. But late at night, alone in that room, reality pressed down heavy. She was a black woman from the south side of Atlanta, with a high school diploma and 7 years of cleaning houses on her resume. He was a white billionaire who had senators' phone numbers and took meetings in Manhattan boardrooms. She'd seen this movie before. Read this story. It always ended the same way, with women like her left behind when reality set in. One Sunday afternoon, they took the twins to a small park near the house. Quiet, almost empty. Jacob and Bella played on the swings while Erica pushed them, laughing when they squealed for her to go higher. Julian stood nearby, watching. Not the children. Her. When the twins ran off toward the slide, he moved closer. Can I ask you something? He said quietly. Erica's stomach tightened. Okay. Are you happy here? She looked at him, surprised. What kind of question is that? An honest one. He searched her face. Because you seem distant lately. Like you're pulling away. Erica turned back toward the children, safer to watch them than to look at Julian. I'm not pulling away. I'm just remembering my place. Your place? I work for you, Julian. That's all this is. Is it? His voice was soft but firm. Because it doesn't feel like that to me. It hasn't felt like that for a long time. Then what does it feel like to you? She turned to face him, and the question came out sharper than she meant it. What do you think this is? Julian stepped closer. Close enough that she could see the flecks of gold in his tired eyes. Close enough that her heart started pounding. I think you're the best thing that's happened to this family in 3 years. He said, I think my children love you. I think... He stopped, jaw working. I think I'm falling in love with you, Erica, and I think you feel it too. Her breath caught. Julian. Tell me I'm wrong, he said. Tell me you don't feel this, and I'll never bring it up again. I'll keep my distance. We'll go back to employer and employee, and I'll respect that boundary. But if I'm right, if you feel even a fraction of what I'm feeling, then we need to talk about it. Erica's eyes burned. It doesn't matter what I feel. It's the only thing that matters. No, she shook her head. What matters is that your mother is going to lose her mind when she finds out. What matters is that people will look at us and see something wrong. What matters is that I've been here before, Julian. Not exactly like this, but close enough. And I know how it ends. How does it end? With me alone, she said, voice breaking. With you realizing I don't fit into your world. With your friends asking questions and your family pressuring you, and eventually you'll see what everyone else sees, that I'm just the woman who used to work for you. Julian's face crumpled. You really think that's who I am? I think you're a good man, Erica said. I think you love your children. I think right now, in this moment, you believe what you're saying. But Julian, I can't afford to bet my heart on right now. I can't let Jacob and Bella get more attached when this might all fall apart. I can't. Erica, Papa. Bella's voice cut through the tension. She was running toward them, Jacob right behind her, both giggling. Come see, we built something. They ran back toward the playground, and Erica wiped her eyes quickly. Julian's hand caught hers. Just for a second, just long enough for her to feel the warmth of it. This isn't over, he said quietly. It has to be, she whispered. But when she pulled her hand away, it felt like tearing off a piece of herself. Thursday morning started wrong. Erica was making pancakes when she heard the doorbell ring. Too early for deliveries, too early for visitors. She wiped her hands on a towel and moved toward the front door, but Julian was already there, opening it. A woman stepped inside, 60s, perfectly styled silver hair, expensive coat, cold eyes that swept the entryway like she was cataloging everything that didn't meet her standards. Julian, she said, not quite warmly, you didn't return my calls. Mother, Julian's voice went flat, I didn't know you were coming. Clearly. Victoria Stewart moved past him without waiting for an invitation, heels clicking on the hardwood floor. She stopped when she reached the kitchen doorway. Erica stood at the stove, spatula in hand. Jacob and Bella sat at the table, coloring, waiting for breakfast like this was normal, like this was family. Victoria's expression tightened. I see. Mother, this is Erica Walsh, Julian said, tension creeping into his shoulders. She's been helping with the children. Helping? Victoria's eyes traveled over Erica slowly, deliberately. And does helping usually include eating at the family table? The air in the room went cold. Erica set down the spatula carefully. I should give you two some privacy. Jacob, Bella, why don't we go finish coloring in the playroom? No. Julian's voice was firm. You don't need to leave. But Erica was already guiding the twins out of the kitchen, not looking back, because she knew this conversation, had been waiting for it since the day she arrived. In Julian's study, Victoria didn't waste time. What are you doing? She asked, closing the door behind them. I'm raising my children. With the help? Victoria's voice was sharp. Julian, be serious. The woman is at your breakfast table, eating with your family, acting like she belongs there. She does belong there. Victoria's jaw tightened. People will talk. Let them. Don't be naive. She moved closer, voice dropping. Your children need professional care, stable environments, not emotional attachments to staff who could leave at any moment. And you need to think about what this looks like. What it looks like? Julian's voice rose. You mean what it looks like that my children are actually happy for the first time in 3 years? That they're talking again, laughing again, living again? I mean what it looks like that you've gotten involved with your black housekeeper. Victoria said it quietly, delicately, like that made it less ugly. Julian's face went pale. Get out. I'm trying to protect you. I said, get out. His voice shook with barely controlled rage. And don't come back until you can treat Erica with the respect she deserves. Victoria's eyes flashed. Don't be a fool, Julian. Women like her, they know exactly what they're doing. She's playing a role, getting close to your children, making herself indispensable. And when you wake up and realize this fantasy isn't sustainable, those children will be the ones who suffer. You need to leave, now. Victoria straightened her coat, lifted her chin. Catherine would be ashamed of you. The words hit like a punch. Julian said nothing, just opened the study door and waited. Victoria left without another word. But the damage was done. An hour later, Erica was in the playroom with the twins when it happened. She was braiding Bella's hair, humming softly. Jacob sat nearby, building a tower with his blocks. He stood suddenly, walked over, and touched Erica's face with his small hand. Mama, he said, clear, deliberate, his first real word in 3 years. Bella looked up. Mama, she echoed, like she'd been waiting for permission. Erica's vision blurred instantly. She pulled both children close, tears streaming down her face, holding them like they were hers, like she had the right to keep them. But she didn't. Julian stood in the doorway, frozen, watching his children call another woman Mama, watching the three people he loved most in the world become a family he wasn't sure he deserved. His face was wet too. That night, Erica knocked on Julian's study door. He looked up from paperwork he wasn't really reading. "Erica, your mother was right," she said quietly, stepping inside. Don't do that. I've crossed too many lines." She pulled an envelope from her pocket. "White, formal, final. This is my 2-week notice." Julian stood so fast his chair scraped against the floor. "No. Jacob called me Mama today," Erica said, voice breaking. "Do you understand what that means? He said his first word in 3 years, and it was for me. But Julian, I'm not his mother, and I am pretending this is real, it's not fair to them. It's not fair to any of us. Erica, please. I love them," she whispered. "God help me. I love those children like they're my own. And She stopped, closed her eyes. "I love you too. But that's exactly why I have to leave. Because the longer I stay, the harder it's going to be when this falls apart." "It won't fall apart. It already is." She set the envelope on his desk. "Your mother sees it. Eventually, you will too. And I can't be here when that happens. I can't watch you realize I don't fit. Can't watch Jacob and Bella lose someone else they love." "You think I care what my mother thinks?" Julian's voice was raw. "You think I care what anyone thinks?" "I think you care about your children," Erica said. "And right now, you're thinking with your heart. But someday you'll think with your head, and you'll see what everyone else sees. That I'm just the woman who used to work for you." "Stop saying that." "I'm sorry, Julian. I'm so sorry." She turned and walked out, leaving him standing in his study with an envelope he couldn't bring himself to open. In her room, Erica pressed her back against the door and slid to the floor, crying so hard she couldn't breathe. Because leaving was the right thing to do, even if it felt like dying. The next 2 weeks felt like watching something die in slow motion. Erica kept her distance, back to calling him Mr. Stewart. No more family dinners, no more lingering conversations in the kitchen after the twins went to bed. She still cared for Jacob and Bella during the day, sang to them, played with them, braided Bella's hair, built towers with Jacob, but there was a sadness in her now. A heaviness the children could feel even if they couldn't name it. "Why, Erica, sad?" Bella asked one afternoon, touching Erica's face. "I'm not sad, baby," Erica lied, forcing a smile. "Just tired." But she was sad, heartbroken, going through the motions of leaving while everything inside her screamed to stay. Julian tried to talk to her 3 times. Each time, she walked away. Couldn't bear to hear him try to convince her when she was barely holding herself together. On her last day, she packed her few belongings while the twins napped. 2 suitcases. That's all she'd brought. That's all she had to show for the months that had changed her entire life. She left while Julian was at work. Couldn't face him. Couldn't say goodbye to Jacob and Bella while they were awake because she knew she'd break. So she kissed their sleeping foreheads, whispered, "I love you," into their unhearing ears, and walked out the front door. Left behind one of her hair ties on Bella's nightstand. Left behind a drawing Jacob had made for her on the kitchen counter. Left behind the only family she'd felt like hers since losing her sister. The Uber driver asked if she was okay. She said yes, and cried the entire 40-minute drive to New Haven. Julian came home at 5:30 to a quiet house. Too quiet. He found the twins in the playroom with Mrs. Patterson, the new caregiver he'd hired. Highly credentialed, excellent references, everything that should have worked. But Jacob and Bella sat in separate corners again, not playing, not talking, just existing. "Where's Erica?" Bella asked, looking past him toward the door. Julian's throat closed. She had to go, sweetheart." "When she come back?" "I don't know." Bella's face crumpled. She started crying, not loudly, just tears streaming down her face in silence. The way she used to cry before Erica came, before Hope. Jacob threw his blocks across the room, hard, then covered his ears and started rocking. Mrs. Patterson tried to approach him. He screamed. That night, neither twin would eat. Bella cried herself to sleep, calling for Erica. Jacob refused to get in bed at all. By day 3, the regression was complete. No more words, no more eye contact. Jacob hit Mrs. Patterson when she tried to help him with his shoes. Bella started hitting her head against the wall again, something she hadn't done in months. Mrs. Patterson quit on day 5. "I'm sorry, Mr. Stewart. They need more than I can give them. They need her." Julian stood in the empty kitchen at 2 in the morning, staring at the drawing Jacob had made. A picture of 4 people holding hands. Labeled in Erica's handwriting because Jacob couldn't write yet. Papa, Mama, Jacob, Bella. Mama. She'd written it herself, had accepted that title, had loved his children like they were hers. And he'd let her walk away. No worse, he'd let her believe she had to. Julian sank into a chair, head in his hands. For 3 years after Catherine died, he'd been surviving, going through motions, breathing, but not living. Then Erica walked through his door and reminded him what it felt like to be alive, reminded his children what joy felt like, what love felt like, what family felt like. And she did it not because it was her job, not because he paid her. She did it because that's who she was, a woman with a heart big enough to love broken things back to wholeness. He'd told himself he was trying to do the right thing, trying to protect her from judgment, from his mother's cruelty, from a world that wouldn't understand. But really, he'd been a coward, scared to fight for her, scared to stand up and say, "This woman is my family, and I don't care what anyone thinks." Upstairs, Jacob started crying, that broken, hopeless sound that tore Julian's heart in half. He climbed the stairs, found his son curled up in bed, clutching Erica's hair tie like it was the only solid thing left in the world. "I want Mama," Jacob sobbed. "Want Mama." Julian lay down beside him, pulled him close. "I know, buddy, I know." "She come back?" And in that moment, Julian realized something that should have been obvious from the beginning. This wasn't about what was proper or appropriate. This wasn't about what his mother thought or what society expected. This was about survival. His children needed Erica, not as a caregiver, as their mother. The one they'd chosen, the one who'd chosen them back. And God help him, he needed her too. Not because she was convenient, not because she was good with his kids, but because somewhere between hymns and pancakes and bedtime stories, she'd become the woman he wanted to spend the rest of his life with. The woman he would spend the rest of his life with. If she'd still have him. Julian kissed Jacob's head, waited until his son's breathing evened out into exhausted sleep. Then he went downstairs, grabbed his keys, and got in his car. It was almost midnight. He didn't care. Some things couldn't wait until morning. Julian drove through empty highways with his hands gripping the steering wheel like it was the only thing keeping him tethered to earth. 40 minutes to New Haven, 40 minutes to figure out what to say to make her believe him. He'd gotten her address from payroll records. A small apartment building on the east side, 3rd floor. When he pulled up just before midnight, the neighborhood was quiet, streetlights flickering, a few cars parked along the curb. He climbed the stairs 2 at a time, found her door, and knocked. Silence. He knocked again, harder this time. The door opened. Erica stood there in pajama pants and an old t-shirt, hair wrapped, eyes swollen like she'd been crying for days. When she saw him, her face crumpled. "Julian, it's midnight. What are you?" "My children haven't eaten in 3 days," he said, voice raw and broken. "Jacob won't sleep. Bella's hitting her head against the wall again. The new caregiver quit after 5 days because his voice cracked. "They're disappearing again, Erica, and I can't watch them die a second time." Erica pressed her hand to her mouth, tears already falling. "Julian, I can't sleep either," he continued, stepping closer. "Can't think, can't breathe, because the only thing that's made sense in 3 years just walked out my door and I let her go. We talked about this." "No," his voice was firm. "You talked. You told me all the reasons this couldn't work, all the ways I'd fail you, all the ways the world would reject us. And I stood there and let you believe I wasn't strong enough to fight for you." He moved closer. She didn't back away. "But you were wrong about something," Julian said. "You said I'd wake up one day and see what everyone else sees, that you're just the woman who used to work for me." Erica looked down, unable to meet his eyes. "I do see what everyone else sees," Julian continued softly. "They see a rich man and his housekeeper. They see race and class and all the reasons we don't make sense on paper." "Julian, please." But I see something different. He lifted her chin gently, made her look at him. I see the woman who brought my children back to life. I see the mother they chose. I see the person who makes our house feel like a home again. I see the woman I want to wake up next to every morning for the rest of my life. Erica's breath caught, tears streaming freely now. I love you, Julian said, and his voice broke on the words. I love how you sing hymns while folding laundry. I love how you braid Bella's hair and build towers with Jacob. I love your strength and your kindness, and the way you love people who are broken. I love you, Erica Walsh, and I'm not apologizing for it anymore. What about your mother? Erica whispered. What about your friends? Your world? Then we'll build a new world, Julian said. One where family is chosen, not inherited, where love matters more than what people think, where Jacob and Bella have the mother they need, and I have the woman I love. He took her hands in his, and they were shaking. Both of them. Come home, he pleaded. Not as my employee, not as the help, as my partner, as their mother, as the woman I want to marry. Erica's eyes went wide. Julian, I know it's fast. I know it's terrifying. But losing you these past 11 days has been the worst thing I've felt since Catherine died. And life's too short to waste time pretending we don't love each other. What if we fail? Her voice was so small, so scared. Then we fail together, Julian said. But Erica, I'd rather fail trying to build something real with you than succeed at a life that's empty without you. She was sobbing now, full body shaking. Jacob's sleeping with your hair tie, Julian said quietly. He won't let it go. Keeps asking when Mama's coming home. And I didn't have an answer for him because I didn't know if you'd ever forgive me for letting you leave. There's nothing to forgive, Erica whispered. Then come home. He pulled her closer. Come home, and let's be the family we already are. Let's stop pretending this is temporary when we both know it's forever. Erica looked up at him, this man who'd driven 40 minutes in the middle of the night, who was standing in her doorway with tears on his face, who was offering her everything she'd ever wanted and everything she was terrified to take. I'm scared, she admitted. Me too, Julian said, but I'd rather be scared with you than safe without you. She searched his eyes for doubt, for hesitation, for any sign this was temporary. Found none. Take me home, she whispered. Julian kissed her, then soft and desperate, and full of promises neither of them had words for. When they pulled apart, he rested his forehead against hers. Thank you, he breathed. For what? For not giving up on us. I tried, Erica said, smiling through tears. God wouldn't let me. They packed her 2 suitcases in silence, drove back to Greenwich, holding hands across the center console. And when they pulled into the driveway at 2 in the morning, Erica looked at that big house, the one she'd walked away from 11 days ago, and realized it had never stopped being home. Because home wasn't a place. It was the people inside who loved you. They entered the house as quietly as they could, but Erica's heart was pounding so loud she was sure it would wake everyone. Julian led her upstairs, stopped outside the twins' room. They're in here, he whispered. Together. They wouldn't sleep apart anymore. He opened the door slowly. Jacob and Bella were curled up in Jacob's bed, holding each other. Jacob still clutched Erica's hair tie in his small fist. Erica's knees buckled. Julian caught her. She moved toward the bed, sat down carefully, reached out and touched Jacob's hair. His eyes opened, unfocused at first. Then he saw her. Mama? His voice was rough from crying, uncertain, like he thought he might be dreaming. I'm here, baby, Erica whispered. Mama's home. Jacob launched himself into her arms so hard it knocked the breath from her lungs. He was crying, gulping, desperate sobs that shook his whole body. Bella woke at the sound, saw Erica, screamed, Mama, and threw herself at them both. Erica held them, rocking back and forth, crying just as hard as they were. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm not leaving again. I promise. Never again. You stay. Jacob pulled back, searching her face. Forever? Forever, Erica said, and meant it with every part of her soul. Bella touched Erica's wet cheeks. Don't cry, Mama. You home now. And something inside Erica that had been broken for so long since the fire, since losing Kayla, since every goodbye she'd ever survived finally healed. Julian stood in the doorway watching his family come back together, and he'd never felt more grateful for anything in his life. The next few weeks weren't perfect. Victoria called once. Julian told her Erica was staying, that she was family now, that if his mother wanted to be part of their lives, she needed to accept that. Victoria hung up. She called back 3 days later, asked if she could meet Erica properly. It was awkward, stiff, but Victoria tried, and that was enough for now. The children transformed completely. Jacob started speaking in full sentences. Bella sang constantly Erica's hymns, songs from the radio, made up melodies about nothing and everything. They went back to the park, to the library, started preparing Jacob for school in the fall, talked about therapy and support and all the ways they'd help the twins continue to grow. But mostly, they just lived. Erica made breakfast while Julian got the twins dressed. They ate together at the kitchen table, passing syrup and orange juice and easy conversation. Julian went to work, came home by 3. They played in the backyard, read books before bed, built pillow forts in the living room. Simple things, ordinary things, the kind of things that mean everything when you've lost them. One evening, after the twins were asleep, Julian found Erica on the back porch, looking at the stars. He sat beside her, took her hand. "I called my lawyer today," he said quietly. Erica turned to him, confused. "I want to officially adopt Jacob and Bella," he continued. "They're biologically mine, but I want legal documentation that makes it official, and I want you to adopt them too, as their mother." Erica's breath caught. "Will you marry me?" Julian asked, and his voice was steady now. "Sure. Not someday. Soon. Because I don't want to waste another day of our lives pretending we're not already a family." Erica smiled through tears. "Yes." They married 6 months later in the living room where it all began. The same room where Julian had first heard his children laugh, where Erica had danced with them in a circle, where their broken pieces had started fitting together into something whole. Small ceremony. Erica's grandmother came, crying the entire time. A few close friends. Victoria sat in the back, still learning, still trying. Jacob and Bella carried the rings, giggling when Jacob almost dropped his. Erica wore a simple white dress, natural hair braided with flowers woven through. Julian wore a grey suit and cried during his vows. "You saved us," he said, voice breaking. "Not because you tried to, but because you loved us when we were too broken to love ourselves." Erica's vows were simpler. "I choose you. I choose them. I choose this family. Every day. Forever." Jacob whispered loudly, "Mama's pretty." Bella added, "Papa's crying again." Everyone laughed. When they kissed, the twins cheered. And in that moment, surrounded by people who loved them, standing in the room where miracles happened, Erica understood something her grandmother had been trying to teach her all along. God's timing is never early, never late, always perfect. She'd lost her sister, lost Kayla, lost so much that some days she thought grief would swallow her whole. But God had been working, quietly, carefully, weaving broken threads into something beautiful. He'd taken a woman running from pain and led her to a family drowning in it. He'd taken children locked in silence and given them a mother who knew how to wait. He'd taken a father who'd given up and reminded him what hope felt like. And he'd taken all of them, broken, scared, barely surviving, and built a family. Not perfect, not without scars, but whole. That night, after the guests left and the twins finally fell asleep, Julian and Erica stood in the kitchen where they'd had so many conversations. "Thank you," Julian said, pulling her close. "For what?" "For staying. For fighting for us when I was too afraid to fight for myself." Erica smiled, rested her head against his chest. "You drove to New Haven at midnight. I'd say you fought pretty hard." He kissed the top of her head. "Best decision I ever made." From the baby monitor on the counter, they heard Bella's sleepy voice. "Mama? Papa?" "We're here, baby," Erica called softly. "Go back to sleep." "Love you." "Love you too," they said together. Silence. Then the soft sound of Bella settling back down. Julian looked at Erica, his wife now, his partner, the mother of his children, and felt something he hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not the absence of pain, not the forgetting of loss, but the kind of peace that comes from knowing you're exactly where you're supposed to be, with exactly who you're supposed to be with. Healing doesn't always look like we expect it to. Sometimes it comes wrapped in ordinary moments, in pancakes and hymns and bedtime stories, in hands that hold us when we're falling apart, in love that chooses us even when we're broken. And sometimes the family we need isn't the one we were born into. It's the one that finds us in our darkest hour and says, "You're home now, and we're never letting you go." If this story touched something in you, if it reminded you that healing is possible, that broken doesn't mean finished, that God still shows up in ordinary hands, doing extraordinary things, then share it with someone who needs hope today. Subscribe to this channel because we tell stories for the hurting, the hopeful, and everyone in between. Stories that remind us we're not alone, that love still wins, that even in our deepest grief, grace is waiting. Comment where you're watching from and tell us what moved you. Your story matters, your heart matters, and maybe, just maybe, sharing it will help someone else believe in their own second chance. God's timing is never early, never late, always perfect, even when it feels like forever, even when it hurts. Especially then.